RWP is brought to you by Porch Beer Entertainment.
Dude, we're back.
Oh, I know.
We're back.
I know. I can't believe it. I mean, the fans.
You sound different. You sound older.
We are older. I mean, I looked in our last episode that we released.
Yeah, we haven't talked for what, like 3 years since we stopped?
Yeah, what
Probably.
if it was that, like, since our last episode, we didn't speak to each other? Our last episode was April 1st, 2022. So that was
April Fool's Day.
That was the last one we did. We did one in December of 2021, and then 5 months later we did one, and then we stopped after that. And before that, we were doing looks like a couple a month when we did like Rainforest Cast, Ocean Cast, TV Cast, etc.
Mm-hmm. So December 2021 was pretty much like the end.
We did Sweden Cast for April, and which had one of our highest listens ever, which is kind of crazy to think about. And we did technically. I will say, even though we haven't cashed out yet, technically we did earn $8.78 through ads. I will say, but so now they changed the criteria. Well, here's the problem now. Now they changed the criteria where you have to have a certain number of Spotify listeners within the last 60 days. And a lot of people, I don't know about you, but all my podcast stuff, I do it on Apple. I'm an Apple podcast guy. I don't really listen on, you don't even have Spotify. You have Apple Music, right?
No, I have Spotify like free. I don't have premium, but yeah, I have Apple Music, and I use, for podcasts, like I just do the Apple because like it's just easier.
Yeah, and exactly. I'm used to it. Even though for some reason Apple has not updated our logo for the podcast.
RSS feed on Apple, I think.
Did you?
That was like my project, yeah.
Because whatever it is, it's like the old logo on my phone. When I look up our podcast, it's like the old logo, and I have no idea how we changed that. You might have to be the one that does it.
I don't remember. Did I use?
It would be your Apple
login?
ID. It would be your Apple ID. Yeah. If you're the one that set it up, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I thought I set up with the Random Word Podcast Gmail.
I have no idea, but
yeah. Anyway,
let's do it.
So this is the first time we talked in a year.
First time we talked in a year. The people, again, they're excited. They're in the studio right now. God, what was the name of the guy? What was the guy?
It's a pleasure to be in New York.
What was the guy that we would pretend would be in the crowd? Terrence. Yeah. Because that's the guy at Nats Park. It all makes sense. This is 5 years worth of jokes.
He passed away due to COVID-19, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that part. We are back. But back in a particular way, because one of our a little rusty on the pad here. One of our favorite things, and the thing that people still talk to me about to this day, is Bad Book Club. Some of people's favorite segments on this show were you and me talking about a romantic novel on Kindle and going through and telling the people about these books. And that is one of the things that people love the most. So we decided, what better way to come back with the show than bring back Bad Book Club? It's perfect. It's a perfect way to stage our comeback. And a little behind the scenes, when Salty Dalton and I were trying to figure out the book we were going to go with, because it's a careful vetting process. So I will admit, I spent a lot of time looking at different options for Bad Book Club, and for this one.
Yeah. Which one did we never finish? The 50 Shades of Grey knockoff?
There were some weird ones that we went through and then we didn't. Yeah, I don't remember the. I'd have to go back.
Damien
and look.
was his name. Yeah.
Well, I think
we should go back and pick up where we left off on that one, because one thing I did notice is the first couple chapters are gold mine, and then for this one specifically, which we'll talk about, it does get kind of graphic.
Well, there was Bad Book Club Wild.
Oh, that one of them was the werewolf one, or
That
whatever.
must have been wild. Was the werewolf one, and then you're right. There definitely was another one that I let me pull it up. Looks like Beneath This Mask. That was probably the
Yes,
Damien one.
that was it. That was the Damien one. Yeah, because
So
he was like into this weird like
there was
sex
some weird
play.
stuff,
Like,
and so we've covered some fantastic literature here. So when I went and looked at some of the options, there were three that came to mind, and I'll reveal the two that we did not go with. One of them here was called Quadruple Daddy, a best friend's older brother romance, Dirty Daddy's Book One.
yeah,
That did
which
not.
that is promising is that it's book one of many.
Especially because the cover is like this guy, and then there's like four babies. Like, it's hard to see in the camera, but there's like four
Yeah.
babies in front of the guy. So that did not win. The other book that also did not win
This one
was
almost did.
Secret Babies for My Dad's Best Friend, an age
Yes,
gap
this is the one I
romance.
wanted. This is the one I wanted.
Doctors of Denver. And this seems to be like the theme with these books is there has to be a shirtless guy with the abs on the front. Like that tends to be it when you look these up. So I spent a lot of time searching through these types of projects.
I bet the models they use for the covers. I don't know if it's like stock images that they like Photoshop in the babies
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but like I wonder if there is a huge market for like guys who pose for romance novel covers, and I bet if they
there
walk
is.
into like a Barnes and Noble,
Yeah.
like there's some ladies who get fired up.
What was the
You know what
guy
I'm
back
saying?
in the day? Fabio, like there was
Yeah.
there was a guy
Oh,
who
he
was
was
like on
all
the
over
cover of
the-
like
yeah.
every romance novel. Like, no, dude, I'm sure there's an industry of guys like, hey, I have a six pack. I look good with my shirt off. I'm just gonna take some of these pictures, submit them to like stock imagery, and a lot of these guys now like have kept up with the times where like they all have tattoos now. I mean, like this guy's got a big tribal piece on his chest. The guy that's standing behind the quintuplets, what quadruplets? What's four kids? Is it quadruplets? What's the term for four
Quadruplets.
quadruplets? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's true. That doesn't sound.
What do you mean?
That doesn't sound like a
Quad is
real
four.
thing. Triplets. I know
Octuplets?
quintuplets is one, and
That's
then
five.
octuplets
Twins is five.
is 8.
Octuplets is 8. Septuplets is 7.
Is 7. Wait, do people? But people can't actually have 8 kids, like at the same time. Like that
John and
doesn't.
Kate plus 8, dude. Remember
They
that
didn't
show?
have those. That wasn't 8 kids that were all born at the same time. I think that
Yes,
they just
they
happened
were.
to have 8 kids.
No, dude, it was like 8 kids at the same time.
John and Kate plus 8. You know what the big issue with this computer is? The default search engine is Yahoo, and that you're never gonna get any answers but going like that.
Well, you need to be using Bing.com, dude.
No. So they had twins, and then they had sextuplets.
So 6.
So 6 and then twins. But it was just.
There have been people who have
Yeah.
given birth to 8, though.
I just can't imagine that's possible.
Could you imagine how large the stomach is?
Has anyone given birth to 10 babies? I'm gonna go big. 10 babies.
I see.
South
and
Africa. It's always like I'm not
10
saying like
at one
it's always
time.
an African lady. No, I'm saying like it's always like somebody in some like remote part of the world where it's like, oh yeah, we
10
found
at
this
one time.
like New Guinean woman who had 15 boys like in one afternoon. Like South African woman gives birth to 10 babies. Yeah. Wow.
Dude, but like,
that's
see, and then
insane.
we get to a weird line because it's like, you know, when you think about giving birth, it's like 1, 2, or 3 is like the common, I feel like,
Right.
thing. Where like
Right.
2 and 3 are rare, but it happens.
Right.
But I feel like once you get to 8,
Yeah.
it's like a litter of puppies. Like
I mean,
at that point, it's like you're
Like
an
half of
animal.
those kids are not going to be loved. Like that's the reality of the situation. Like you're gonna hate one of those guys.
Listen, we both had kids, and since this podcast,
Oh,
went
yeah,
out
that's
there,
true. That's
I
true.
have had a baby,
Yeah.
sweet Lily. She's almost 1 year old. I could not imagine trying to feed 3 at one time.
No.
Like, what do you do with 8? Do you get one of those contraptions where you tie like 8 bottles to a stick? and
As soon
just
as you're
lower it at the same
outnumbered, you're
time?
screwed. Like as soon as you have more than 2, you're screwed because like you're like outnumbered. And I don't know how they make it work. The funniest thing about this story is they were astonished because the scans only showed 8 in the womb. So they got 2 bonus babies that they didn't even know were going to
bonus babies.
happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a little crowded in there. If you could imagine, like a packed locker room
Buy
after a
8,
game.
get 2 free. I mean, it was a good deal. I mean, it's 10 newborn babies all at the same time. I mean, you're running a daycare basically. Like
It's like
that's
those buses you
yeah.
see in like Europe and stuff where it's just like people are hanging off the roof. That's what I imagine
Yeah.
someone's body is like, having 10
Well, because
babies
also it's
inside of them.
like, yeah, it's like, well, first of all, like you mentioned a car. It's like, where you have to like rent a bus.
You have to buy a commercial 18-seater
Yeah.
van.
Yeah, one
Like,
of those
that's
giant
that
vans.
is what you have to do. Yeah.
That's the only way to get around, and they're all just filled with car seats. Anyways, we have a book to read. We could talk about quintuplets forever. So the book we decided on is a little book called Curves and Cradles by USA Today bestselling author Kat Baxter. Salty Dalton.
That's crazy. Best-selling author.
They're all bestsellers. Every book that we read on this show, it is called Bad Book Club, but for this specific genre, these books we read are always like USA Today bestseller, New York Times bestseller. And then you read the book and you're like, how? How is this possible?
It's got to be like trash TV, where it's like it has such a cult following and it's like not good, but it's not good. So what I thought we could do is, before we open chapter 1, and that the page right before chapter 1 gives like the Jane and the Kevin perspective synopsis of the story. So which one do you want to read, Jane or Kevin? I'll do one or the other.
I'll read Jane, and then I want you to read Kevin.
Okay, so this is basically the summary of the story that we are.
This is like the prologue kind of thing. It's like a prologue. So, by the way, so on this episode, we're going to cover chapters 1 through 5, and we'll include the link to the book in the description of the episode.
It's $2.
So if you want,
it's $2 on Kindle,
and it's worth it. It's worth every cent of those $2.
It's like 98 pages.
It's a quick read. So if you want to follow along. If you want to follow along and support, I mean, Kat Baxter's downloads are going to go through the roof from this episode, I would assume.
We should partner with her, maybe.
So maybe
we could be on the cover of the next book.
We don't want them to find out that we're reading these books, because then they're going to hear like what we talk, what we say about it. So, all right, this is the prologue before we get into chapter 1. It's just this quick thing, and as Salty Dalton said, it gives each perspective. So first off, the description of the book is a Navy SEAL / one night to forever / curvy girl romance. So this is obviously perfect for us. That's 2 curvy women. And then it says Jane. This is from Jane's perspective. Once upon a time, I kissed a sexy soldier to save face in front of my ex and his shiny new fiancé. I never intended the kiss to lead to anything more, least of all the most passionate night of my life, and the bundle of joy that shows up 9 months later. So that's Jane's perspective. Let's get into Kevin's perspective here.
Here's Kevin's perspective. I'm only in town to go to a funeral with one of my SEAL buddies when I meet the curvy beauty who changes my life forever. Somehow, 2 years later, I still haven't forgotten the hot weekend I spent with Jane. So when I'm injured and have to take leave, I head back to Texas to find the woman I left behind. When I get there, I find more than I bargained for. Forgiving her for keeping my baby a secret is the easy part. After all, she had no way to find me. Convincing her that I'm in this for the long haul is a lot harder.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so what we know at this point is you got 2 people, Jane and Kevin, who share.
The first paragraph highlighted with notes.
Yeah, who share one wonderful night together. Let me bring up the music again here as we delve into chapter 1 of Curves and Cradles. And we're not going to like read it line by line, but we'll kind of give you an overview and get into stuff. So we'll start with this. So the first chapter of the book starts from Kevin's perspective, and so he's at a bar. He's drinking beers. He's kind of looking around. He notices this woman that's nearby. And he said, we've been exchanging glances for the last 20 minutes. Kind of a long time to be exchanging glances.
That's like a really long time. Like, that's if you and I sat in silence and just kind of looked up and smiled
20 minutes is quite a while. But this next line is what establishes the overall tone for the book. It's
incredible.
As a whole. Why don't you read it, Salty Dalton?
So as he said, they've been exchanging glances the last 20 minutes, right? They're sitting in this bar somewhere in Texas. I can't tell if it's a dive bar. We find out later. The exposition is a terrible job of exposition.
Terrible.
You'll fly through this. It'll just drop you into a situation with you just
100%.
Figure it out yourself. She tripped when she first entered the bar, caught me watching, and flashed me an adorably goofy grin that went straight to my dick.
Which is right off the bat. Now we know what we're talking about here.
And my note here that I immediately wrote, because I read this on the train, because my train got stopped that same day on the way back, my train got stopped for like an hour and a half on the tracks.
Yeah, what a day.
And I was like, I'm just going to read this book. My note says, you know how it goes when you're drinking with your buddies and a chick smiles at you and you get an uncontrollable erection for the next 3 hours.
Which is, it's also weird that he adorably goofy grin made me picture like a clown face, like she's missing a tooth or two. Like, yeah. What about a goofy grin gets you hard? I don't know. I don't know, but for this guy, it's his thing.
I have so many of these. It is insane.
So then he describes her. So he's like, she's a little awkward, but she's hot. She's petite and curvy in all the right places.
They keep talking about the curves.
The curves are a big thing. Now look, the honest part of my brain is like, maybe she's trying to write a book that appeals to women of all shapes and sizes. But the reality of this situation is then, so that's my initial thought. And then this next sentence here, like a pinup girl you find leaning against a muscle car. So then you go, okay, so she's not trying to appeal to like women of all sizes. Like a pinup girl against a muscle car is probably like, a supermodel, obviously, like those types of photos.
Like the curves have to be like this.
Yeah, what is the body type that we're talking about here? I don't know.
You cannot figure it out because it changes so often, but
it does.
The main theme
and then she gets pregnant, so there's like another curve added.
Yeah, it's like any chance the author gets, she's just like, she's super curvy, but extra hot.
They like to really let us know.
She's not curvy fat, she's curvy hot. Like, yeah, it's they stress it so much where it starts to get annoying, where I'm just like, okay, I get it, but now I have no image of like, I'm just seeing like this amorphous like blob where it's like top half is like pinup girl, bottom half is like kind of overweight.
I have no idea. It's hard to tell. So they're exchanging these glances. Apparently she's been looking at her phone. She's looking at the door. It seems like she's waiting for someone. Kevin looks down at his phone. He gets a text, and it's from his friend Cade. And like right off the bat, like this threw me off immediately because it was from Cade. It said, met with funeral director. Sucked. See you tomorrow.
Well, it even says "der," like they're expecting you to interpret like the text.
Yeah. So like when I read this part of the book, I guess I didn't read the prologue well enough because I'm like, why? I guess I'm trying to figure out like there's so many ways you can put Kevin in this bar situation and to have this eventual hookup that we're hearing about, but deciding to go with the choice of, as he says, his SEAL team buddy. Who's been his best friend since Bud's training. I guess his friend's mom dies, which is just a weird detail to add in this because it means nothing to the plot.
Nothing
Absolutely nothing to the plot.
But also, and one of my biggest things is like he's sitting here at this bar alone. He's going to Texas for his best friend. He's like, "Fuck it, I'll see you later."
Yeah,
his best friend's going like alone.
I'm gonna go meet with the funeral director by myself.
He's like, I got this guy's back. Like he says it, like he keeps talking about this. No one should do that alone.
Yeah.
All this other stuff, and I was like, you've left him alone
at this bar that you're not even really happy to be in, as we learn in a bit. But so basically we find out that Kevin has like no real family. I mean, he mentions that I've never had anyone.
Never had anyone.
Yeah, and therefore I've never lost anyone. Yep. So Kevin apparently is kind of a loner. We know nothing about his backstory. So he looks up from his phone. The girls disappeared. And he's like, oh, man, I was hoping for some company tonight. It's been too long since I got laid. And her heart-shaped ass and nice rack were just what I needed.
I have this noted, too. And I was like, what does this mean? Like, what is the heart-shaped?
Yeah, I don't really know what it means.
You know how like everyone uses the emoji like a peach, right? Is that supposed to mean?
But a peach and a heart are not the same thing.
But a heart has like it's a very definitive shape. So
it's like angular at the top.
So her butt is short.
And then it's like there's a point at the bottom.
There's a point at the bottom, and then it like rounds up. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And her nice rack were just what I needed. So I did this thing through the first couple chapters where I have in my brain it's called like a red flag counter, like a serial killer.
Yeah.
He's the two things he's already said, like, I'm a loner drifter, have nobody.
Yep.
Right.
And
then
nobody.
like he's just so predatory, where he's just like, she smiled at me, and I've got a raging.
Yeah,
erection.
a lot of
Okay,
Like,
and then he's like, I could use some company tonight. Like, hasn't exchanged a word with her, just kind of looked at her, but was like, God, I'm taking that
for
one
a guy
myself.
we're supposed to be, in theory, like rooting for in
Who's
some
like
fashion.
upholding the, military, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just,
He's
what a
he's
wild choice for SEAL team.
an
Like,
absolute horn dog. So she's not there. And so he starts looking around the bar, apparently, even though he's been there for clearly longer than 20 minutes, so probably even longer than that.
I would probably say like an hour, right? And he's like, he doesn't know what music's coming from the speakers. It's across the street from the hotel, so it's convenient. And he's like, didn't bother to change into nicer clothes. It's like, okay. And then his hand goes to his neck to ensure his dog tags are still tucked in
Yeah,
his shirt.
so he's
So
got his tags.
I asked, I immediately today, I asked, because I work in a program office, a lot of military guys. I was just like, hey, do you wear your dog tags in the office? First of all, you're in
Right,
uniform, but like,
right.
do you wear them outside of work? And they were just like, no, that's weird.
Especially not
They're
to
like,
a bar and like,
they were
yeah.
like, yeah. It's a very strange thing to be doing.
Also, may I point out the cover image? There's no dog tags around the guy's neck on the
No,
cover of
he's
the
wearing
book.
a beanie.
I will
He's just,
mention
he
that,
looks like
and he
a,
is wearing a beanie, and then he starts mentioning. So a new group of people enter the bar, and the guys are wearing skinny jeans and beanies, and he says, "Bunch of damned hipsters." So first of all, this book was written in this year. It was a 2023
so. Oh,
release.
that's what I thought. The references in here, it sounds like it was like it's super recent,
So
and I
like,
think
I
we
don't know
might be
about
older than
you.
the author.
I don't know about you, but I feel like I haven't heard like skinny jeans and beanie wearing like hipsters in
That's
15
such a
years.
wild
Like
generalization. I mean, like, because like, yeah, but like,
everybody
it's just
wears
like
like
looks at somebody's
skinny
outfit and they're
jeans
just like,
now.
oh, bunch of hipsters. Yeah, look at their beanies.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's Texas. Why are they wearing beanies? But
And he's
it
pissed because
does.
he's like, I should have known this was a hipster bar when it took the bartender 15 minutes to list all the craft beers. Where it's like, hey buddy, like this is kind of like what bars are now. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like
And also, if you're asking the bartender, and after 5 minutes
yeah,
of
right,
listing
right.
beers, you think you might just be like, hey, how about I just get a menu? Do you have a
Yeah.
QR code
Can I
I
just get
can
it like
scan?
Coors or whatever you want to get? I'm sure you could have gotten at
Well,
this bar.
he orders a Shiner Bock, which is the beer of
Yeah.
Texas, pretty much. But like, if that's what he went with, like, why is
Why
he
didn't he just
upset
say it
that
from the
it's like a
beginning?
nice? Why is he upset that it's like a nice bar? Like, where did he
Yeah.
want to go?
This business is thriving. It makes me pissed. Like this
See,
big group
that's
of
the place
customers came in. Yeah.
He picked it because it's convenient, and he just gets mad about everyone who's in there.
So the
Like,
girl comes back out of the bathroom.
this sexy awkward girl
Yes,
is what
the
he calls
awkward
her.
girl. Something in her features wilts, and she bites her lip. She's
So this is what I try to.
expressive. Yeah, I guess, but I don't understand because she's looking at the new group of customers, and then she bites her lip and wilts. And he's like, "Yeah, she's definitely working for me." Another red flag, I would say. Just like,
And there's nothing inherently sexy in her no
so
nonsense
far, she's
walk,
given a goofy
nor her
smile.
clothes.
She's tripped. She gave a goofy smile. She's
She's
bit her
curvy.
lip. Like
She has a heart-shaped butt and is not sexy in
she's,
any way, shape, or form based on what she's wearing or how she's acting.
she has the
But
strangest body type on the planet.
I love the internal monologue he has because he's like, "There's something I can't tear my eyes from," and he goes, "Hell yeah, baby!" It just is his thought, like it's in italics, like he's just thinking that to himself. He's like, "Oh hell yeah!" Like
Yeah,
that's
this is
that's
after
my jam.
he describes what her outfit is. He says
Her
basic
her
jeans.
unsexy outfit.
Yeah, basic jeans,
He just
a
trashes what
shirt.
she's wearing.
He doesn't even describe the shirt whatsoever. He just says basic jeans and a shirt with black Converse tennis shoes. That's the only that's the only types of clothes that can fit this strange body that she has apparently. Yeah, as you said, hell yeah, baby, he says, and then she comes right over to him. So this is what's happening. He's kind of looking at her. She's like biting her lip, being kind of weird, like giving her a toothless smile. And then she walks straight to him. She looks
Oh
over at
yeah.
this group of guys at the bar, walks straight to him, and actually like comes up into him. He puts his hands on her hips, and then they're starting to kiss. So they
Yeah, she
kiss
stands
as if her
between
life
his
depends
legs.
on it. Yeah.
So I have to imagine he's sitting at the bar.
Right.
So she stands right up in between his legs.
So how does she
and then
fit? I
just,
mean, isn't there like a counter, like a bar?
I don't, and that's what I don't quite understand, or if she like came around behind him, but he'd already swiveled to go see her,
Yeah, he must have swiveled.
and then and they kiss. And
Yeah.
it goes into kind of like he's talking about her breasts and stuff
Yep.
like that, and then
Yep.
and then he just full on the descriptions of the kisses
Yeah.
make
Grossing me
me
out.
so
It's grossing me
uncomfortable.
out.
And
We
all the time
taste and tease one
she,
another.
yeah,
Yeah,
she
that's
moans into my mouth.
ugh.
First of all, we said just if you're like
Yeah.
scream into someone else's
Oh, I
open
can't
mouth,
take it.
and then his he gets an
Yep.
erection,
Yep.
and he groans. So they're just
Ugh.
groaning left and right. Like if I'm at this bar and I'm
It's
like
like
sitting there,
he's mad.
I'm
He
having
thinks like the group of hipsters is the problem here. It's like, hey, buddy, you know what's really uncomfortable is two people like moaning and groaning while making out, sticking their
yeah.
tongues down each other's throat at the
Also,
bar I'm at.
and we've already established he has a raging erection.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Just
been hard since she
since
tripped.
she
Yeah,
20 minutes after she
yeah.
she walked in the bar.
It's a problem.
And he's like frustrated that she's wearing clothes, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you're in public.
That's another red flag there. So so then this part I don't fully. You'll have to explain it to me because I don't fully understand it. So so they finish their kiss. She smiles. She touches his chain, like his dog tags. She goes, "I'm hoping that your ball chain and buzz cut mean you're not a terrible person." Are dog tags also known as ball chains? What is a ball
So
chain?
the ball chain is like the
Okay,
actual. Remember
so I know
like those
nothing
little.
about this stuff.
No, like there's little beads that are all connected together, and then a
Yeah.
little clasp thing. It's like what. I mean, there's so many things that use that, but it's like a really cheap
Okay.
metal necklace that can break apart because the whole point of dog tags is you can
Okay,
rip
so
them
she's
off.
saying like basically she's saying like the fact
I
that
think
you're in
she
the
sees a chain and a
in
shaved
the
head,
military
and
and
it's
a
just like
buzz cut. Yeah, okay.
it's
And
either
then
that or she just generalizes
here's
people with buzz cuts and chains and be like, I hope you're not like a murderer.
yeah, because like people from the military are never never just
It,
awful people. Sometimes like I don't understand what the point is there. But the next
and
part
it's
is one of my favorites is her voice is lower than I expected. So first off, weird thing to
hey,
say. Like what do you
hey,
mean?
I'm Jane.
Because then he says sultry and husky and sexy as fuck. So that
But
those
like,
two sentences were just like, first of all, what were
so
you
as
expecting from a voice perspective, and then second of all, how low could it have been for you to be so surprised at it that you like had to comment on it?
within one page, like 4 paragraphs, he goes from saying she's a pinup girl, curvy in
Right.
the right places, is dressed terribly, and not sexy at all, and has a husky, deep voice.
Yeah.
And it's like, and
She might
in my
be a
mind, I
man.
can't
I don't know
even
what to tell you.
hardship, but I can't. Like I'm just like, as soon as I read that, I was just, the first thing I picture is just, she came up to him and she's like, "Hey,
Hey there,
that ball
Sarah.
chain doesn't mean you're a bad person. You want to hang out?" Like, just, it's insane.
So she's like,
Um,
can you just go? People that join the army can't be creepers, right? And then just go along with this. And he's
Incorrect.
like, Navy. By the way, he's like,
Yeah.
Navy. He's like, you said Army, I'm Navy. And it's like, okay. And
Her mouth
then
opens, but she says nothing. So she's just like,
yeah, she's
which
like,
is a
okay,
normal
buddy.
reaction.
Like, I didn't know this was gonna be a thing, but okay. And then so basically, she gets recognized, and one of the hipsters comes up, and he's like, Jane, is that you? And we get a description of this guy. The he's described as a tool, but and then they tell us what he's wearing. And it's like, oh, what does that have to do with like him being a tool? Like he's wearing a plaid
And he
shirt.
pushes these glasses up. He's just like, Jane, is that you?
He's
And
wearing
just wearing-
glasses. He's got a plaid shirt half tucked into his skinny jeans. A tall, thin blonde stands next to him, gripping his arm. So like, okay. So this guy comes up. He's like, he recognizes Jane.
Yes, this part.
Um,
Describe his action. What he does. Like, so he basically like pulls Jane in close. Like, I guess he's just like immediately feels threatened by this guy, or he like kind of knows that they have a history or something.
I guess, but he grabs her, he pulls her close. He said, so she's between my thighs. So he's got her very close. I wrap an arm around her waist and let the other rest on her breasts.
No, like this is how I.
Oh, like this. Okay, yeah. I pictured
arm-
like this was an armrest and he's just resting it like that.
Oh god, that'd be even weirder. Well, this is, or maybe that's what it is. But like, if I were to be hugged from behind, and then like
Yeah.
they just went like
Yeah,
this,
that's-
and it's like,
That's that.
and I wrote like there, it's just like it's just casual sexual assault.
Yeah,
I mean they were
that's-
just yelling into each other's mouths as we were making out in this super upscale bar.
So this turns out to be her ex, Blake, and then he's engaged to the fiance, and then
Fiance's super excited about it, like,
and then he's like,
ring in their face,
right? Exactly, and he's like, "What's going on with you two?" Because he obviously doesn't recognize this guy, and that is randomly here breathing into his ex's mouth. So Kevin, right? That's his name, Kevin.
Yep.
He's like, all right, this must be her ex, and he introduces himself, and he says, Janie and I are together. And I lower my feet from the bar stool and press against her backside. With his feet?
Still has,
I just imagine him leaning back, sticking his feet up against her butt.
So he has the hand on her breast. He stands up and then just like, kind of
he's all over her, yeah.
And he has an erection.
Yeah,
still.
Yeah. This is
just
a tough
awkward
scene
all around, and like I don't even know how to interpret this. And then
and he mentioned he calls her Janie. Blake's like, Janie, I thought you hated being called anything but Jane. And she goes, I don't mind so much when Kevin's. So this whole exchange is kind of weird because it's like, why does this matter? Like to the plot at all? It really doesn't.
And one thing throughout the entire novel is like, we'll get into it in chapter 3, but like the way that they speak to each other is like weirdly formal because like there's no pet names or says like stuff like that. She always just calls him Kevin, and he always just calls her Jane.
Yeah,
and
like Tarzan.
The weirdest
and
thing.
Yeah,
yes.
it's very basic. So, anyways, the ex they have a quick exchange, not that important. They go away, and he. So he leads them away, and she's like, "Thanks, thanks for covering for me." And he's like, "Well, it's the least I could do after that kiss." And like, he's like, "I take it that you and Blake, the hipster, have history." And again, like, who talks like this? Apparently, we get this exposition that we don't really need at all. They dated through high school.
Their whole relationship, because guess what? This man never shows up again.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
As far as we know. Literally, it's never mentioned again. It's just, this is my ex. His name is Blake. Here's his fiance.
Yeah.
Goes through their exposition of dating, and then they're gone.
She says, God, you're super hot to him. And then she apologizes. She's like, oh, I can't believe I jumped on you like that. I'm sorry. And he's like, you think I'm super hot? And she's like, all right, buddy.
But she's like, no one looks like you and doesn't realize he looks like a sex god.
Which is that's a weird phrase, sex god.
It's just it's like the flirting is just so wild in here. It's just like, and all she does is talk about how hot he is.
Yeah.
And like objectify him and like through the entire time.
And then he obviously is doing that.
And like think about like as someone who's sitting, because like it's a popular.
Yeah, there's just a guy sitting there on a work trip because it's across from the hotel.
You and I are across next to them in the bar, like we're having a drink. We were on a work trip, and then we witness, because the only thing that would really draw our attention is this chick trips when she walks in. Right? We'd probably be like, "That's." And
she's missing a couple teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she walks over to this man. They start basically having sex right there. And we're kind of like, this is really awkward. And then this group rolls in and starts talking to them. And then he like grabs her in weird places.
Yep, fondles.
And then we hear their whole conversation. And then,
she puts her forehead on his chest, which is kind of a weird move. She just goes like right into the chest. She lets us know that he smells good. He said, my friend was supposed to meet me here, but a work thing came up. And she couldn't make. Oh, that's what she says. Sorry, she says her friend was supposed to be there. Blah blah blah. He's like, oh, I'm glad she was meeting a girl, not another guy. And then so she's like, I hope you can do me one more favor. Can we walk out of here like we're going home together? Which is like, why couldn't you just say like, hey, can you just walk me like out of here or whatever? Like, what do you mean? How do you walk like you're going home together versus just like leaving the establishment? Like, I don't know what that means.
And he goes, that's unacceptable. And like another red flag. And he's just like, I'll walk out with you, but we're hanging out tonight. And then he's just like, let you know where to get a good burger. And then to your reference, missing teeth, her face splits into a toothy grin. Like,
yeah, he asked her, where can I get a good burger? And she literally breaks into, again, a toothy grin, which is the strangest use of terms there. And then she's like, I sure do. So apparently she's like a burger expert. And then...
well, she's quirky and all that.
Yeah, I guess. I guess that's what they have to tell us.
She obviously knows her way around a burger joint, allegedly.
So that's the end of chapter 1. So we've again the highlights here. The
Sexual
wild
assault.
the wild sexual assault, the horniness from Kevin. We've been talked about his erections multiple times at this point.
You will hear it again in the next 5
I'm
chapters.
sure. And now they're heading off to get burgers. They've made out already, and clearly are thinking each other are attractive. So now chapter 2 is from Jane's perspective. So we're doing the different perspective bit here. So
Yeah,
Jane,
and it just kind of alternates like that.
yeah. So Jane's like, this is her internal monologue. She's like, man, I can't believe I kissed him. Like, I don't do
Also,
stuff
we find
this
out the name of the
bold.
bar is called Remy's.
Remy's bar.
That should have been introduced in the first chapter or something.
She said, I initially wondered
plot
if he was a movie star.
And that's what you should do with movie stars is you should walk right up to them
and make out with them.
Forcibly
That's
kiss them. Yeah, because the sexual assault swings both ways on this because that's a wild first move.
She said she eventually kind of figured out that he was a soldier, not a movie star. We just start hearing this is all of her internal stuff. She's like, I'm a good judge of character. So even though
they keep saying he's the most attractive human being
sex
on planet
god.
Earth.
He's the most attractive person.
That's 90% of this monologue. It's just like, God, he's amazing.
We get some of this, and then we get back into the scene. So his large hand still grips mine as we cross the street from the bar. She's saying I would have been, it would have been embarrassing to see my ex by myself, which is why? Who cares? But I don't know.
She's been single since they broke up, and I was like, that's generally how it works.
Yeah, she said I've been single since
when you're not dating somebody.
Yeah.
So, then she says I've dated. She says I've dated since. I've been single since we broke up, but I've dated since. I don't really understand.
She's a high school
Austin,
teacher.
Which go into Austin.
Yeah, so I don't know what that means.
I think somewhere in the next couple chapters they briefly mention that they live in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Okay.
So I don't know how close that is.
No idea. I have no idea. But apparently she goes into Austin for dates, I guess, is what she's saying. She's a teacher. Kevin.
She does that so that her students won't hear about her dating exploits. And I was like, generally, that'd be a weird thing for them to just kind of hear about. I guess if it's a small town.
So she's saying she leaves. She goes to a different town to go on her dates because
to do dates.
Are her kids? Are high school kids going to these bars like Remy? What do you? No, why would they know any of this?
But if the same scene that happens in the last bar is, I bet that they're probably not allowed back there. So maybe people would hear about it if she's doing stuff like that.
Apparently their teachers just making out at bars all the time.
I have this highlighted. They kind of talk to each other a little bit. She explains that, and he has a rich baritone voice.
Yeah.
But it's warm and friendly, but also sexy and all around yummy.
Yummy voice. I mean,
the
same could be said about us, I would say.
I think so.
There's not that much interesting here.
Just talk about him calling her Janie, and then she's just kind of like, "It's fine, you can call me Janie."
And then
that's the gist of the two paragraphs.
Cool. He gives me a cocky grin. He's like, "No problem. Feel free to jump on me anytime." All right. Again, horn dog. Right off the bat, he's very clear. I'm horny. He's holding her hand. She says, I stop walking, but make no move to tug my hand free. So it's like he's clearly got a tight grip on her hand.
I checked that. I have that highlighted. Another red flag, super predatory, very aggressive. And then she describes him again.
Yes.
And the amount of detail she goes into how expertly sculpted his face is and all these features.
Shoulders.
And then she says, the most defining characteristic he has. This is the most this is what takes the cake. This is what captured me. His lips hold me hypnotized. They're full, but not too full. And then stops describing the lips.
Yeah.
That's all that is. And she's just that is the one part where you might need to put in that extra detail. You'd be he had a nice face and this, but his lips were like drops of Jupiter from the song and they danced across my face or something. And she's just they were full, but not too full.
With the types of descriptions we've gotten in this book, why stop at just he had some full lips. That was it. That's all. That's all they said.
Not too full. They were it was just right.
She asks him, if he. Wait a second. I didn't even notice this part the first time. She says, seriously, this guy cannot be for real. No one is this attractive, at least no one in my world. Well, except for maybe my siblings, the twins.
Yes, I highlighted.
Wait a second. I didn't notice this the first time when I read it. What?
What did I write down? I said she thinks her siblings are as sexy as this man.
Yeah.
So she has twin siblings, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know if they're younger or older.
Don't know if they're
this is all
boys
we know,
or girls.
and it's just we have twin siblings, and she's like, she thinks they're as sexy as this man, and that is already such a weird thing to do.
Why even say that? Like, why?
You don't have to.
Why
like,
let us
like,
know how attractive her
siblings
siblings
in her
are?
world, it's like, okay, well, like, they're attractive people, but it's just weird.
So she was trying to give him an out. She was like, all right, you can stop pretending. And he's like, what do you mean?
Oh, no.
You think I'm faking? And she's like, she starts getting self-deprecating, like he's hotter than me. Anyone can see that. She says that he has a wicked sense of humor, which is like, I was going back to last chapter. I was like,
he hasn't made any jokes.
What sense of humor?
The best part about this
he
story
rested
is, like,
his arm on her boobs. Like, what was funny about that?
He called her Janie and was like, "Hey, bro, super
Guy's
awesome
like,
to meet you."
she hates
to her
being called
ex-boyfriend.
Janie, and he's like, she likes it when I say it. It's like, this guy's hilarious.
But it's that, or like during their walk, like all the important conversations that you probably should be covering in this novel, she just kind of like, yeah, they talked a little while, and she found out he was funny. And by the way, he's so hot.
Yeah.
And then I have this highlighted. So like, she's saying, yeah, like funny guys are my weakness. One, well, we haven't found any evidence that he's funny at all. And then he has pure blue eyes that have been sending secret messages to my ovaries.
Don't like that. I don't like that. Don't know what that means.
And I said, my comment on this, what I wrote, I typed in there, it just goes, ha 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 ha, for like 8 lines. And I was like, yeah, they don't cover this in health class, but pregnancy starts with the eyes. It's secret.
I mean, like, it's one thing for her to say, like, he's like,
her ovaries getting text messages from these eyes. I don't like
I don't like the sentence. So then he steps closer until he's positioned her between him and a brick wall of a laundromat. Nope. That's kind of a weird stance. And he says, I wasn't pretending about being hungry. I really want a burger. And I wasn't pretending with that kiss. I didn't go into that bar to meet anyone, but you're one hell of a surprise, Janie. And then he kisses her. His thighs are really getting up in her business. She fights not to rub against them like a cat in heat.
Yeah, dude, his denim-clad thighs also. I'm going to start referring to my legs as denim-clad thighs. I think exclusively.
But not skinny jeans, because that's only for hipsters, apparently. His tongue slides across hers.
Also, that's just it. Every kiss is just like a full-on disgusting French. And like, I'm trying to like picture it in my mouth. My legs of their own free will encircle his waist. So she was pinned against the wall, and then just like, I guess, jumps up and locks her legs onto his waist.
He presses up against her, and the hard length of his oh so impressive erection grazes my core.
So he has not stopped having an erection since she walked in and they walked out.
Don't like this next sentence. Damn jeans, why didn't I wear yoga pants?
You just see like hand in hand, and then a dude with just his jeans just shoot out.
She says, damn jeans, why didn't I wear yoga pants? Or a skirt, or nothing. Naked and pressed to him is exactly what I need. What do you mean? What do you mean? Why didn't you wear yoga pants? What would have happened here if, against this wall of this laundromat, if you were wearing yoga pants? Because that would be public exposure. I mean, there's laws here. Like, what are we doing?
And we've already established this is like Austin, Texas downtown.
Yeah, there's people. I mean, I've been to Austin, Texas. There's a lot of people walking around. Especially by the laundromats and Remy's. So his hands are like going all over the
hemline
waist
of her shirt. So he's like trying to stick his hand down her shirt.
Right.
His lips and tongue continue their magic, turning me into warm goo.
Yeah,
disgusting.
weird.
Like Play-Doh, only sexier.
Yeah.
You know this Play-Doh that I call warm goo?
Yeah. I mean, if you thought Play-Doh was pretty sexy, this is actually sexier. So in case you were...
warm goo, because that already sounds gross. That doesn't sound sexy. Warm goo is like something that comes out of an alien when you slice it in half.
His hips shift, and I moan. So does that mean he like did a hump? Are we describing a hump?
Hero of the entire story.
Yeah.
Get a room. Someone yells from a passing
From a
car.
passing. So
They're doing
yeah,
public.
yeah, right next to
They're
a road.
everything.
A busy road. So they break their kiss. He goes, "Oh man, sorry, I got a little carried away. I'm not complaining."
My voice sounds husky and lustful.
Yeah, that really.
I'm not complaining.
that,
Swear to me.
They
I'm Batman.
they head off to the burger place. He asks if the place has good burgers, which I guess it's like, all right, a little late to ask this question. I mean, I would hope they would.
It's called the Greasy Spoon, so I mean, it probably makes a solid burger. We should look up if the Greasy Spoon exists in Austin.
I highly doubt it. He asks if as if he didn't have me dangerously close to coming up pressed to the wall of the Spin City Washateria minutes ago. Oh my god.
So we're finding out the names of these places that mean nothing.
Oh, that's the laundry place. Spin City Washateria? Why do we need to know that? I don't know.
I mean, it's a hell of a name for a TM.
She says, yeah, that's a wild level of thought put into the name of the laundromat.
It goes
Spin
from Greasy
City Washateria.
Yeah. To Spin City Washateria.
I'd rather look up if that exists in Texas. Let's see.
Oh, you should. Yeah, let's.
All right, let me Google
Spin
it.
City Washateria.
Spin City Washateria.
Because any good author should be doing their research about the area.
It exists. There's one in Houston.
What?
There's one in San Antonio. So this is a thing. Okay, I mean, we're not from Texas, so I guess this is what they're called. This one This one has 4.2 stars out of 5 on Yelp.
Well, they used to be at 5 stars until someone had sex outside.
Yeah, I was about to say we should leave a review being like, I was going to enjoy washing my laundry.
Kevin and Janie were pressed up against the window to the washateria.
Yeah, aren't people like trying to just do their laundry?
Do laundry, yeah.
So they have milkshakes there apparently. So Center Street Burgers is the name of the place. It says we're quiet for the rest of the walk to Center Street Burgers. The bell jingles. They sit in the booth. And
wait, it was the Greasy Spoon earlier.
Well, that was just the.
Is that a colloquialism?
That's just yeah, exactly.
Restaurant.
But it's one from like the 50s, so I don't know why they're using it here. So he does the bit where he sits next to her in the booth instead of across from her.
Weird, so weird.
Always a red flag.
Weirdest
right
thing. I don't understand. I don't think I know anybody who does that.
No.
Like, because I think we've asked people before. It's like, do you sit directly next to your significant other when you eat? And it's like, no, that's just, it's weird because one, you can't look at them, and normally you want to talk and stuff. So you just be like.
And I feel like the people that do sit next to each other, are probably like, oh, but this is so much more closer and intimate. But it's like, but no, it's not, because like if I'm sitting across from somebody, I'm able to look at them. We're able to like, be like have a normal conversation.
I'm like left-handed, so like when I sit next to people at like dinner tables and stuff, like, and I'm pushing into their arm, which is using to eat their food. So like it's just a weird. You shouldn't do it.
They have a one-page laminated menu. As crazy as it seems, I'm getting laid tonight. Jane thinks to herself, so it's like she's clearly.
It's been a hell of a dry run, like 7 months, she said.
Yeah, and that guy wasn't very good. Random shot at the guy that she had sex with 7 months ago. Like, why are we dunking on this guy?
Yeah, why are we burying this man? He tried his hardest. It happens to every guy. Okay.
And then the next sentence makes me uncomfortable. I'm ready to get back on the horse, as it were, and holy hell, what a horse it will be. Disgusting. Bestiality. Like, what are we doing here? The waitress takes their orders at this place. He puts his arm on the bench behind her. He's facing her, and then he starts asking her about like her life. And then we get a ton of exposition where it's like, I don't care about this. It's like all this.
I said, they talk a lot about Blake, and to our knowledge, he does not pop up in the book ever again.
Yeah, so this is stupid. I'm going to skip through this. Basically, she's saying that she hasn't had a significant relationship since then. She's got a busy job. She teaches literature at the high school. Is that a class in high school? Just literature?
I think AP Lit was one.
Oh, so. Okay, it was. Okay. And she sponsors several after-school clubs. My life
several.
Isn't... Yeah, that seems like too many. My life isn't glamorous, but that's me. I love my job, the kids, and the books I teach them to enjoy. And apparently going into a separate town to have sex with men. That is the other part of the puzzle here.
Also weird. Yeah. It's not glamorous. I just live a secret life in Austin. And
he watches me pull the cherry from the stem just kind of a
So
always
she
a little
just at some
sexual.
point during this conversation when she's talking the whole time, she and
She's
pulls the
how is
just pulls the
how
stem
is she
right.
speaking when she's got the
I don't
cherry in her
know.
mouth? I don't
I
understand.
like to imagine it's just a husky voice, but it's just chewing. It's just like, well, yeah, I did it before. Just
We find out her name.
crumbs flying everywhere.
Her name's Jane Seymour, which is like you could have come up with something sexier than Jane Seymour. He asks, yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
yeah. He says,
Seriously, I had to look up. I feel like I know who Jane Seymour
oh yeah.
was.
So it's an actress. So the whole bit
Yes,
here in this book is, and clearly, like whoever wrote this, I guess,
she's like super into Jane Seymour.
yeah, because like I would say like 95% of the people that read this book probably didn't
Aren't gonna
watch
get that off the
Romancing
get-go.
the Stone movie that they're
Romancing the
talking
Stone.
about.
That was great. It's a great movie.
Yeah, sure,
But like,
not exactly like
I remembered what she looked like.
Yeah.
But if you just say Jane Seymour to me, I'm just like, okay.
And then we get a statement coming up here that I did not like. He laughs, and the sound is pure magic, deep and rich. It simultaneously makes me smile, and then makes my
Her lady parts
quiver. We'll censor it a little bit there. Yeah, did not like that sentence.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Waitress brings
Well,
the food.
a smile turns him on like crazy. So
his genes are
they're both just
ready to rip.
they're just both sexual deviants. Perverts.
So the waitress shows up. He dives into his burger. This guy is ravenous. Like, I don't understand. She picks up a fry, swipes it through her milkshake, and then
pops it into her
they're
mouth.
still talking. Yeah, she's eating, and he's like, he acts like this is some radical thing he's never seen before. He's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "You've never tried fries in a chocolate shake?" And it's like, where was this? I mean, like, look. Not that I'm eating a lot of chocolate milkshakes as an adult man, but I mean, yeah, if I have French fries, I mean, I think of like Wendy's. When you have a Frosty and you have fries, you're dipping the fries in the Frosty. It's not that weird of a thing.
And like, it's not. And then he's like,
he's acting like E.T. or something. Like he's an alien. He's like, he tries it and he goes, interesting. He goes, interesting. Yeah. He murmurs after chewing. What's so interesting about this? I don't understand.
And then like she like presses him about it. She's like, "That's it," and it's like, well, first of all, you just dipped a fry in a shake. It's not a big deal. And then he's just like, "I'm not a love at first bite kind of guy." It's like, all right, so you didn't like it. Just say you didn't like it.
So he asks about her siblings. She says it's the three of us. We still don't know yet. I believe we end up finding out that she definitely has a sister, but I don't know.
She has twin siblings.
Okay, but are they both girls, or is one like because twins can be guy and girl? Actually, we just know that they're hot. That's all we know at this point. She said they're as attractive as this guy.
And then like this is the best part here is like, and she's like, okay, and she's like, let's have a normal conversation. How about you? His jaw tightens, shakes his head. Only me. We ate in silence for
the rest of the meal. They're having a full meal, and they
weird.
And then he mentions his best friend's mom's funeral. And he's like, I'm not looking forward to it.
He was just like, yeah, I was supposed to go to the funeral director with my buddy. I thought he could handle that.
He transitions the topic of the funeral. He's like, I'm not looking forward to that, but tonight. So he's like, tomorrow, he's like, tomorrow we have to talk about, go to funeral and a death, but tonight, and he looks at her.
We're gonna do it.
And she says molten lava swirls through her stomach, which means like maybe food poisoning. I don't know.
To me, molten lava, it's literally like after, like when you feel like you need to go to the bathroom really bad.
Yeah, when we did the hot chicken challenge.
Yes,
here.
Like that is what I would equate to that. So I was like, that's a pretty painful feeling. And he's like, "Is this what happens for every woman he looks at? Is this his secret superpower?" Yep. Every woman he's ever looked at has just collapsed on the ground.
It says
thrown their underwear at him.
Able to melt panties with a single glance. Never liked that phrase, melting panties, I will say. He says, tonight I'd like to take you back to my hotel and find at least 3 different ways to make you scream my name. What does that mean? What do you mean?
Like, well, they're sitting side by side in a booth.
This is a family restaurant. There's burgers, there's shakes. People are doing their laundry next door.
So she asked him a question about his personal life. He shut it down. They ate in silence. Then he immediately goes, I'm here for a funeral, but tonight I'm going to make you scream my name 3 separate times.
In that deep baritone voice she has. I don't understand. I guess I
Kevin,
don't.
Kevin.
I understand, like, apparently, yeah, I mean, I understand the concept of someone yelling out the person's name, I guess, in the throes of passion. Okay. But what do you mean 3 different ways? Does he mean
one
like
with an
3 different
accent.
positions, or because in my mind, yeah, I was thinking like 3 different ways
Oh,
of saying his
Kevin.
name. Like, I don't
Oh,
understand.
sacre bleu, Kevin.
He says, "I like you, Jane Seymour. You're quirky and funny and cute. The
You
kind
just
of
imagine
girl."
that, like they're just like making love, and he's just like, okay, do it in the Rocky voice
Yeah,
this
yeah,
time.
dude.
Come on,
Have you ever seen
come in, I'm
Borat?
doing
like,
it.
uh,
Okay, this time like Mexican accent and like
and then this is him like initial. So the problem I have with some of the dialogue is like, so with this next sentence that he says here, it's like he starts off being, "Hey, this is kind of cute. This is kind of a nice thing to say." So he goes, "I like you, Jane Seymour. You're quirky and funny and cute."
oh
You
yeah,
know, so,
the
so like,
end I have highlighted.
so he goes, "The kind of girl a man likes to come home to when he returns stateside." So if he stopped that there, I'd be like, "Oh, that's
Wow,
pretty nice.
that's
That's
kind of
like a
nice,
nice thing
right?
to
Yeah.
say." And then he says, "And your kisses seem to have a direct line to my cock. So what do you say?" Like, what
Like
are you talking about?
what a wild thing to say. What a disgusting thing to say.
But I
But
mean,
like
she should leave immediately.
also,
Because
as we found out, there are like 22 different direct lines to his private parts.
yeah,
Tripping,
apparently
smiling, kissing, talking, uh
she's like.
heart-shaped butts. You know
Also,
what I'm
like
saying? Like,
ending that sentence with "So what do you say?" Like, it feels very
so what do
like
you say?
Broadway
Hey,
or something. Like I don't know.
that's the Joey from Friends, like the how you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
It's like that's like is that his catchphrase? Is that just so what do you say? You know, why don't we just do this already?
She
Um
asks, "Are because you're into me, or you haven't been with a woman long time because you've been off fighting wars?" A little insensitive there. Like if he's been in
that's such
combat.
a
Okay.
weird thing because
Uh, he looks at her. His blue eyes meet hers, and she says,
oh,
"And
another horse reference.
I
Yeah.
know it doesn't matter. The fire burning in his eyes is intense and seductive, and I want to straddle and ride him like the stallion
The
he is."
stallion he
Don't like
is.
that. Don't like that.
Hmm.
I need like a cringe counter for this book, where every time I cringe
Oh,
at
dude.
everything that they say, I need
Um,
a little ding.
he does pay for dinner.
Yes. Okay.
He pulls out his wallet, drops several bills on the table.
Several bills though. It's
Um,
like, what are we talking about here? This is a
and
burgers and
also,
shakes, right? like,
and my note my note says, is he paying her for sex? Because he's just like, so what do you say we do this? And he just like throws money on the table, and I'm just
also,
like,
what
this is
combination of bills would he need to pay for burger and fries? Like several
three
bills.
hundreds.
Like
Yeah, I
what
mean
kind of
it's
is he
upscale.
carrying? Like a bunch of ones and a 20? Like what is he carrying? I don't understand there. Um, I look up at him. Holy crap, he's hot. Like Chris Hemsworth or Henry Cavill hot. It's like, all right, we understand. Like you don't need to keep telling us how hot he is because you've already told us a million times he's as hot as your sibling. Like that's all we know right now is your sibling and him about the same equal hotness. She has to
I'm
remind
hooking up with a
herself.
deliciously hot man,
Yeah,
or ridiculously hot. Oh, and the very last one, my lady parts are already applauding at the thought of
yeah.
her having relations with this incredibly, incredibly attractive man.
So, chapter 3 comes, and let's little disclaimer
Let's
about
read it.
chapter 3.
Let's word it. Let's
Word
read
for
it word
word.
for
Yeah,
word.
no, certainly can't do that. So this chapter, I will just warn the readers ahead of time.
Super
Extremely graphic. Like like this, we're definitely there's rarely anything we can actually feel comfortable reading from this
I think we.
chapter.
Yeah. What did I? What was my suggestion? We have to try to describe it in an entirely PG manner.
Yeah, okay. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna
Okay.
go through chapter 3, and actually, let me get the music on the for chapter 3 here. And
Oh, this is the perfect
and
setting
as
for
Salty
it. Yeah.
Dalton said, we are going to try and describe the action here. We'll take turns. We're going to try and describe the action here in a specifically PG manner.
Yeah, and so like the initial part, like they kick the hotel door closed behind them. This is
Break the
Kevin's point of
handle,
view.
it falls off. No, I'm just kidding.
So this is Kevin's point of view. Yeah, he's like, there's nothing affectionate about our kisses. It's no holds barred sex with our mouths, basically.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Just
her
like with your tongue just.
her meows of pleasure drive me crazy. I need to be.
This says little mules. Mine says mules of pleasure.
Yeah, it's like mules is something like a little baby kitten does.
Okay, gotcha.
It's
Don't like that. Yeah, don't like
That's what
that.
this sounds like. Yeah, it's horrible. Okay, so like right here, it doesn't get too bad. I mean, like, she's just like.
You just let me know when you feel comfortable to hand it back off to me. I'll just let you go as far as you'd like.
So she's making out with them. She's got one hand on the wheel, one hand on the, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
So she's working a stick shift car.
Uh-huh.
And he just like they keep pressing their foreheads together.
Yeah.
And he just keeps calling her sexy, and then she's like, I want you merged with me.
Yep.
Breathlessly. This line, I didn't think it was possible to get any harder.
Don't like that. By the way, this chapter is from Kevin's perspective. But.
Yeah. So they basically like he starts describing her naked body. Round, plump, are words that are used. She drops her jeans. She's wearing matching underwear, which is normal.
Cool.
That seems pretty appropriate.
Congrats.
He nearly rips off his clothes at the standard, like, and he throws them at the standard hotel room desk. Like, okay, it's a hotel room. You could have thrown them anywhere in the room. Like
everything in the hotel room is a hotel room something. At the hotel room sink, hotel room desk. Like, why are you telling us this? Okay.
And then so she gets naked, stands in front of him.
Yep.
He looks at her.
It's no.
He rips off his clothes, and then he just stands in front of her. So basically, it's just two naked people staring at each other, and so they like both just kind of look at each other and bite their lips.
Yeah, weird.
And then he says, "Before I touch her again, I know I'm going to lose control." So he grabs a row of condoms.
Safe sex.
Entire
good
row.
for him.
Yeah, which is good. An entire row. He just like, Magnum, triple XLs, and throws them on the bed. So they start. She just keeps like calling his body a work of art and like feeling all around him, and he's like, SEAL training. It's hard not to bulk up. It's okay, and she goes, "Well done, soldier." So they're just kind of like
she clings
like
to me like a spider monkey. That was a funny line.
and he's super deft at taking off her undergarments. He does this one-handed move and like rips it off of her, and like it's like super impressive. Okay, yeah, let's see. He says, "I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of you tonight." So then he lowers herself between her legs. Okay, starts kissing her legs in an affectionate manner, and he's working his way north to the North Pole. Jesus Christ. She starts. Okay, yeah, I haven't reread this in a little while. So, how do I describe this? So he starts sniffing, and
sniffing,
like putting his
okay,
yeah. And then like she starts like bucking like a wild horse is kind of how that's described, and he's like, "Are you impatient?" And she hisses at him.
Yeah,
she goes, "Yes."
A lot of the back and forth, the bucking, the hissing,
and then it
gets
here. It gets so clinical because he's just like, "Me too," and he's like, "I want to be in you, but first I need to spend some time exploring your lady bits myself." Okay. So he basically starts doing the sniff thing, and then he's like, "Oh man, you smell so good," and then he's like, "Well, now I need to partake in a meal."
Oh God, I don't know. This is God. Okay, let's fast forward a little bit.
I am. Okay, So he basically starts describing the area in pretty crazy detail.
Yeah, but like a lot of detail.
With like a weird like. What do you call it? Like what's the one where you're comparing something to like unlike things?
Like it's like
why is this failing me?
It's not an antonym, right?
No, I almost said analog. It's like
the thing that we got tested on at the SOL.
It's an analogy. Yeah. Sorry, analogy. And he just like starts doing this. They're like laughing at each other. They're talking the whole time during this. Yeah. It's very weird. He says something that I'm really uncomfortable with. But they're just like they're going at it. He's doing this for forever. He like alternating crazy moves.
Yeah.
He just loves this, and like he like really gets into it. And she has a really good time.
She has a great time. Yep.
A fantastic time.
She lets him know that she's having a great time.
And then they take a quick break after a long time of him doing his thing. And then they actually practice safe sex. So he puts on a condom. Super great.
Good.
Love to see that. And then he like continues describing exactly what he's doing. And then he goes ahead and Pop Goes the Weasel.
Yep.
Gets after it.
He gets after it.
He gets after it. God, it's just.
And then
they're just talking during this, and he just goes, "Damn shame I have to leave Texas for the deserts of the Middle East to shoot some bad guys because I want to spend more time with you and your perfect grin." And he's like, judging by the surprised look on her face, I might have said all of that out loud. So he's just like talking normally while he's doing this.
Also, like, what war is he participating in at this point? I don't understand what.
There's technically not an official war,
and he's in the
on.
Navy.
There's a war on terror,
right? Oh, I guess he's a Navy SEAL.
The SEAL team, they're part of the Navy.
Okay.
So whatever, they probably do a lot of special ops.
Sure.
And then so they talk, and then he goes at it again. He's just being like pretty commanding.
She mentioned she says his name. To be fair.
Yes, and then it's so. Okay, I guess I can maybe read this one line, but she's basically like, I don't want it soft.
Yeah, okay.
F me hard,
okay.
Kevin.
Jesus Christ.
In a very, and there's no exclamation marks or nothing. She just looks him dead in the eyes and goes, Kevin, do this right now. It's so weird. God.
They finish what they're doing. They finish what they're working on. He bites her neck. And,
a lot.
And then kisses it, and then
they end the night going, "I like you, Janie," and she goes, "I like you too, soldier." Boom.
Yep. And that's chapter 3.
It's done.
Okay.
It's just, I swear, it is I was like gonna try to do it in like a really funny way where it's like, and then the dragon raided the temple, and I was like, this is horrifically graphic.
We just had to get through it.
Yeah.
All right, we're in chapter 4 now.
Enjoy that or don't enjoy it at your own leisure.
So the last 2 chapters are go by pretty quick. So chapter 4, it's from Jane's perspective, and it's 6 weeks later. It says, and she is pissed because, as she's telling her best friend Danny, she is pregnant. And Danny's like, oh yeah, that might explain all of those. And she shows a row of pregnancy sticks lined up on the bathroom counter. So I would assume if she's been taking, I don't know if that means she's been taking like 10 different pregnancy tests tonight, or if she's been like taking them over the last few days.
Throughout the week.
I have no idea, but she's pregnant.
But they're all positive. Yep.
They're all positive.
So she's for sure pregnant.
And she's like, any idea who the father might be? And she's like, I know 100% who the father is because it's definitely that stallion of a man, the hot Navy SEAL guy.
Also, and she's like, weren't you guys safe about it? And she goes, we did a condom every time. She said, I saw the evidence every time I went to the bathroom. It was in the bathroom trash can. And so we had the whole row, right? And I guess they were there for the entire weekend. And it's like the hotel staff, like, that trash can is just full of
There's got to be a lot of complaints from the other people there. There's got to be a lot of like, what is that? What is happening next door?
Could you imagine being the housekeeper when you open that door?
Just
the smell,
a bucket
so you're going through there.
You're like, is this a box of worms in here? What is it? What are these? It's just like, oh my god. So she's like, what are you going to do? The friend asked her, what are you going to do? She's like, all right, I'm going to try to get in touch with him. I'm going to make a doctor's appointment. She said, maybe I'll do those in reverse order. So she's kind of freaking out. She mentions, like, I've been on the curvier side, which has never bothered me. Now I know my little pooch is protecting a sweet nugget inside me.
Again, it's like, okay, she's a pinup girl, curvy in all the right wheels, but like, has a pooch, heart-shaped butt. Like, it's just, I cannot... She looks like an amoeba in my brain. Like, I can't pin down what the author's trying to describe.
So she's 26. She lets us know.
Unmarried.
And yeah, unmarried. She's, she's like, she makes a comment about, oh, I'm gonna have one hell of a baby shower. This next part I have highlighted here. So she's like, what about your her friend's like, what about your family? And she's like, yeah, my parents are gonna flip. And then Danny laughs, and then Jane is like, well, what are you laughing at? And Danny goes, Jane, I've known you since we were four. You spent your life standing quietly in the background behind your beautiful and talented siblings.
Again, beautiful siblings. Like, everyone just thinks these siblings are
the
hot.
hottest twins. Not that you deserve to be there, but you put yourself there. They've won all the awards. Well, like, what? I don't know what that means. Gotten
So
all
many
the
awards.
firsts and the bests. Now you have the opportunity to be the first Seymour kid to give Diane and Frank a granddaughter. And that, my friend, is awesome. She pokes the tip of my nose with her finger, provided it's a girl, she says. So also, Seymour...
So they have grandchildren already. So these twins have given them grand boys, is how I interpret that.
Well, oh, you're right.
So
no,
you would
you're
be
right.
the
You're
first
right.
to give a
granddaughter.
granddaughter. If it's a girl, obviously, granddaughter, it would have to be a girl.
It's like, yeah.
So that means that the twins have already beaten her to that.
Everything.
Already.
And they've won all the awards. Hottest twins, hottest people. I don't know. As hot as Kevin Jessup, apparently, which is his name, which we found out on the last page. Kevin Jessup is his name. By the way, Jane Seymour. I mean, Seymour as a whole, kind of a nerdy last name, in my opinion. Sorry to all the Seymours out there. She says Kathleen won't like that. The triplets.
Who's Kathleen?
The triplets are only 3. She wanted to wait until they were at school.
So Kathleen has to be one of her siblings. So one of the twins is a girl named Kathleen who had triplets.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. So Kathleen had triplets.
So they had three grandsons.
Right.
From Kathleen. And so Kathleen is going to be super pissed that she's pregnant in general.
Because apparently she was going to try for another kids, but she was going to wait till these triplets are in school.
What a weird thing to be defensive about. Don't you ever have a child. I am the only one providing children.
I don't understand why they can't all have.
Maybe it's because they're just like so attractive and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, Janie, don't make
these
any
babies
kids.
are hot as hell right now.
Sexiest
baby award goes to.
It's so weird.
So she recognizes. She's like, "Holy hell, Danny! I'm pregnant with hot Navy SEAL guy's baby." We have one chapter left. Chapter 5.
So this is from Jane's perspective again. And now, so that was 6 weeks post nasty hotel room incident.
Right. The blood on the walls.
1 year. Yeah. This is now 1 year removed. So she's definitely already had the baby just by the timeline.
Right.
She puts another serving of baby formula in the diaper bag. So she's just coming off maternity leave. So I guess that makes sense. She got about
which listen. This part is kind of weird because the mom says, "Jane, sweetie, you've had more time off than most women," and then we're told she got 6 weeks of maternity and then straight into the summer, 4 months, Jane. So it's like
as a teacher, she got an extra month because they just didn't have school, but also. Yeah, I didn't really understand. It's like
some people have maternity leave for like a year. Like I don't understand what she means by like you've had more time off than most women. It's like I think she just had a regular decent maternity leave time. Like I don't know why you're criticizing her for that.
And I completely agree if she's trying to take a stand by saying like it's a weird kind of statement, political statement, being like. It's like, yeah, well, you had more than most. It's like, okay, so yeah, the American healthcare system sucks. Women don't get good paternity leave or maternity leave. Like that's a thing. I get it, but like, it's just a weird way to like go into that. And then the mom just being like, shut up and take what you're given. Like you got 4 whole months. Like when I was younger, I was back to work 2 weeks after or whatever. It's just weird.
It is weird. And so we find out the baby's name is Stella. Stella Seymour, I guess, right? Like that would be her name. Which, hey, I'm not going to criticize names. She grabs the books. She,
Also, and like then the mom, she's like, "You got to stay home with your baby." So like the mom's like telling her to be grateful for her maternity leave, but was a stay-at-home mom. She chose to quit her job, or something.
Right.
It's weird. You can't tell really who's talking, and so Kathleen, I guess.
Yeah, I can't tell if this is. Well, I thought the dad's. I feel like this is the sister. saying that because she's like, the sister is Kathleen, and the sister's like, daycare has all that stuff. Stella's gonna be fine. Like, and then and Jane is like, easy for you to say. You got to stay home with your babies. And she's like, I chose to stay home. Justin and I saved for a long time so I could quit my job when the boys came.
How much did they say?
Yeah, I don't know. And then they like get into the.
And then she's like, I told you not to marry a twin. A multiple marrying another multiple. So. Normally twins skip a generation or something, but I guess this twin, Kathleen, and we don't know what the other twin's name is or if she's even in the picture.
No idea.
Married.
We just know she's won a lot of awards.
So this twin married another twin.
Right.
Or something. They got married and had triplets. So the mom's just kind of like, you're an idiot for marrying the person you love, the third twin. Like, don't you know you're guaranteed to have multiple babies? Incorrect.
So Kathleen is older than Jane by 6 years, apparently.
So the twins are 6 years older and just so hot.
Yeah, so they're like 30. Yeah, so they're like, I think 32 then, because I think she said she was like 26 or 25, something like that. The kids are 4 years old. They're going to be starting kindergarten soon. Blah blah blah. All this stuff that we again don't really need to know. My perfect baby girl looks up to me with a wide, toothless grin. She's got the signature Jane smile there, the weird, goofy smile. She's got Kevin's blue eyes. A knot tightens in my chest. Jackass.
Calls him Jackass. So, like, I guess he's not really been in the picture, obviously, if she's raising. Which,
again, we're about to find out that she she talks about how people are asking, like, who's the dad? Who's the dad? She has to do it on her own. But she tells us that Kevin promised to come back to see me, to call and email when he had the opportunity, but I've heard nothing from him in 13 months. I called the Navy base once I learned I was pregnant and tried numerous times to get a message to him, but they refused to pass anything along because I wasn't family. So, like, let's think about this for a second. So this guy, he's randomly on leave. He goes, helps his buddy with the funeral. He hooks up with this girl. He has a great time. They have a awesome situation.
Burgers, shakes.
He goes, burgers, shakes, and a lot more. He says, like, I'll get in touch with you. I'm going to be busy, obviously, with my freaking Navy SEAL job. But yeah, we'll be in touch. He thinks like that's it. Like we're done. Like,
he's out of there. Yep.
2 consenting adults. We had a good time.
Also, like, there's like other ways to like. I get it if you're like calling a base directly and being like, I need to find this
like
SEAL
the main line. Yeah, I had sex with this guy, and I think I might be pregnant.
Gonna be like, obviously, the person can be like, well, no, I'm not gonna just.
Person's like, this is the 5th one this week. Like, I don't know.
But like, when you have the baby and stuff, like, you can. I don't know. You can get child support. Like, there's a legal system, and like, I feel like she could.
There's a way to get in touch with him. I would assume
there has to be. She basically called the base twice and was like, well, I'm never seeing him again. Yeah. And moved on, I guess.
So she's resigned to the fact. Cool. She's like, all right, I guess the dad's never going to be in this guy's life because apparently I'll never, ever, ever be able to get in touch with him for the rest of our lives. She's like, I'm a cliche. I'm good, y'all. I'm sad I don't get to spend all my time with this sweet little nugget. And she inhales the addictive baby smell, which, hey, look, as fathers, we know, baby smell nice. Kind of a weird line to end the chapter on.
I mean, like, it's a very specific.
It's very specific. The reason why it's specific, which is weird, not the reason why, but Lucy has a baby doll that when I bought it and I took it out of the box, I'm like, oh my God, this smells like a baby. Like, it has the baby smell, and only parents would understand it, I think.
And it's there. It's not there that long, but there's definitely
right. It definitely goes away.
It's like a weirdly neutral smell.
Yeah.
Because like you would think babies are like, they're constantly pooping and peeing themselves and like spit up and stuff, and it's just like for some reason they just are neutral, like good smelling.
Yeah.
But then like it does taper off, but it is such a very niche thing that
and apparently Stella and Jane.
Unless you know about babies, like you're probably gonna be like, that's a weird thing to do, to sniff your baby. Your baby smells great.
Yeah. It's weird.
Sexy babies from sexy families, just always smelling good. It's just it's so strange.
this is where we leave at the end of chapter 5 as we wrap up this first episode of Bad Book Club. So basically, in summary, Jane Seymour, Kevin Jessup, they hooked up, had a wonderful night of passion, a whole chapter's worth of passion, and they used protection the whole night. Apparently, it didn't work. Kind of a weird detail to like have in there, like this side note of like, by the way, condoms don't always work. Like that's kind of like the PSA from this book, I guess, which is like, okay, all right. They had the night of passion. She's pregnant. She called the naval base once and was like, hey, is there a Kevin there? They're like, I don't know. There's probably like 50 Kevins
here. He's a SEAL. I'm pregnant. Like all this stuff. Yeah.
And so she's got this kid now. They're about to go to daycare, finishing up maternity leave.
We pick up on chapter 6, and it will be Kevin's perspective.
Yeah, that will be where that will be where we do next episode. So for next one, we'll do. So the total book has around 21 chapters. So yeah, we'll cover chapters 6 through 10 on the next episode. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Because we actually have to do a full book. Because we've only ever done like half of every book.
Yeah, we're going to finish this one. I don't know if it's exactly going to be a next week episode, but definitely within the next few weeks we'll put out episode 2. We'll figure it out. We'll get on a good schedule now that we're now we kind of can settle into.
Well, you've moved houses.
Yeah,
since
I've got this wonderful void
podcast
behind me where I do podcasts from now.
Our lives have changed dramatically. I live in Germany now.
Yeah. Das Dalton. Das Salte Dalton.
Guten Tag, guten Morgen. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be. I feel like again, Bad Book Club is the best way to make our comeback because I feel like it's one of the best ways to represent us. Because just reading weird romance novels that make no sense. So definitely again,
it's weird too because like in element like in like school, remember we would always have to like do the assigned reading.
Right.
And like take notes on chapters and stuff like that. And like that was just the worst part because like I've never been that person who's like reading a book and highlights a book. Like I've seen people do that in like actual just regular books, highlight things they like. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. And then every time I read these books, I'm just like swiping paragraphs, writing notes like
this is for your like what is it, the dissertation or whatever in college, whatever the big thing is. I just speaking of book reports, just side note, I may have even told this on the show. I just remember one time in high school coming back from the summer and like in English class they were like, all right, now we're gonna write the report on the book you were supposed to read this summer. And I remember being like, I didn't know I was supposed to read that book this summer. Can I just write about any book that I read this summer? And they were just like, I guess, like I don't know, like yes. I mean sure. So I just wrote about like a baseball book or whatever, like and I think she took off points for the essay, but it was just funny because it was like I had no idea we were supposed to read that book at all. I never got the letter or whatever.
The thing about like the summer homework is weird because like you're leaving that grade in that class.
Yeah.
And they're going like, here's homework to do over the summer to walk into your class with. And it's like why would you even do that?
Everyone's doing it like 2 days before you go back to school, basically.
They're speed reading a book and like just writing down a bunch of stuff, but it's like it's just such a weird thing to do to be like, don't forget, you've already got homework for your next year that you haven't started yet. It's like you're not even officially part of that school for the next year.
Yeah, you don't even.
It's very.
You don't know where I'm going to be.
I was never a fan.
Yeah, no.
Summer homework was just so strange.
The worst.
They just like try to make it fun. They're like, go to a museum and write all this. I was like, the last thing I want to do is go to a museum during my summer.
I want to sleep till 2 p.m. and play video games till 1 a.m. That's all I want to do this summer, you know?
Like, there's like Griffin and Brandon, like, there's a bunch of us for one of our AP history classes, we had to take the textbook and take, like, almost like when you, like, you know, you have a kidnapping and you have to hold, like, the current date.
Oh, yeah, you had to go to the,
You had to go to the different monuments and stuff in D.C., and you got, like, a buttload of, like, extra credit.
Yeah.
And, like... But we had to do that, and that was like a 12-hour day. We drove into DC. We had to drive in DC traffic. We are like fresh with our licenses. It's just the worst experience ever.
16-years driving.
You don't understand that you need to park 3 miles from the monument to go walk to the monument carrying these heavy-ass books. It was so dumb. I just remember that. I was like, what a weird thing to do.
Insane, but we'll be back on these airwaves soon, and again, we'll put the link to download the book, Curves and Cradles, a Navy SEAL / One Night to Forever / Curvy Girl Romance.
Curvy Girl.
Windsor Securities, is it also in the parentheses? So it's like, I don't know what that means. We have no idea what Windsor Securities means. Maybe you do because you read the book. I don't. Dalton's read the whole thing. I'm going in the same pace of the episodes.
I couldn't stop myself. When I was stuck on that train, I was like, I have nothing. I was just listening to a podcast. I was like, once I started reading too, it was so bad I could not stop.
So I'm going to be experiencing this basically at the same time you guys are. So I do not know what's coming up ahead on the trail here. I just know I'm sure going to be very explosive. I'm sure it's going to be very well written from Kat Baxter. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. But definitely share your thoughts on the in the comments below on YouTube with the
make
video.
Sure you use the hashtag CurvyGirl for all comments and posts regarding Random Word Podcast.
Yeah, everything has to have Curvy Girl attached to it. Anything that we do from now on, even if we stop reading this book, hashtag Curvy Girl. People are like, "What? Curvy Girl? Those are two men." But yeah, this is a doozy for sure. So we'll be back soon. Follow us on Instagram. Like or subscribe to all the stuff and subscribe to the podcast.
And it's not a glitch if you are subscribed to this podcast and something pops up tomorrow that says new episode from Random Word Podcast.
This will be tonight. I'll be putting this up tonight, so it's going to be there.
It's real. So Mandy, if you're out there, enjoy.
And there may be the old logo might be up for the Apple one. I don't know. We'll have to fix that at some point, but the episode should show up. So definitely listen to it.
Are you talking like the original logo?
Yeah, like the Bitmoji one, the gray one.
Oh my god! Yeah.
I think it's still up. No, the Spotify one's the right one, but I don't know. Whatever. We'll figure it out. Shout out to Sweden, of course, our number one fan base.
Locking it down.
And we'll see you guys next time. This has been another episode of. Wait, what did we used to end the podcast?
I'm waiting for you to say it. Remember, you said
sayonara. Oh, sayonara, my sweet, sweet suckers.
We outie. Oh, fantastic.